Welcome to the Legends of Iron. I'm John Anderson. Meet my co-hosts Nick Best and Akeem Williams. We're going to have some amazing guests on the show. Buckle up tight because we're going to be talking about the shit you're not supposed to be talking about. We're going to be discussing anything and everything it takes to become a Legend of Iron.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscle Bench, the creator of Nitro Test. Nitro Test is hands down the most fucking kick-ass free workout on the market. The question is, can you fucking handle it?
Welcome to another edition of Legends of Iron. I am John Anderson. With me always, my partners in crime, Nick Best, who's giggling up a storm at me right now, and Akeem Williams. We are here. We've got a great episode for you. This guest, really excited to have him on the show. He's had an amazing fitness journey himself. We're going to talk to him about that. He's helped tons of others with their journey. But what we're really going to be keying on today is he is a writer for some of the major publications in the fitness industry. And he's going to have some, I'm sure, some very exciting stories to tell us once we start asking him some juicy questions. So, Roger Lockridge, welcome to the show, my brother. How are you?
John, I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me. This is a honor and a privilege to be amongst this kind of company.
Well, we're excited to have you here. You know, when Nick actually had said that, you guys were working together, and as soon as he said that, said, man, let's get him on the show. So the timing was great. You were working with Nick on a story for him, and it just lined up perfectly. So here we are,
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's working with a guy like Nick, who's a legend in not only one but two strength sports, is an incredible opportunity. And then for him to decide that me being worthy of being on his podcast and for you all to talk to me, can't speak enough highly about him. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So I appreciate Nick thinking of me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. You're a brilliant man. So this is going to be a lot of fun. People are going to learn a lot from this. So it's good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first thing, let's just kind of start off. Tell us about your fitness journey, because obviously your fitness journey kind of led you into the position you are with writing for the major publications. So let's kind of start from the beginning. Talk to us about where it started and talk to us about the ups and downs and all that kind of good stuff.
Okay, so if you would have seen me as a kid, you would have never thought that I'd be somebody working in the fitness industry. I was bone rail thin as a kid. I did not win the gene pool. As a matter of fact, my family genetics was probably born in the cesspool. When I was in high school, I was 5'9", 125 pounds, and this is as a 17-year-old senior. And man, I was dealing with a lot as a kid. I had to deal with what was known as childhood domestic violence. I was there when my parents were always fighting. They were both alcoholic. At one point, my father even held us at gunpoint. So there was a lot of trauma that went with that.
Wow, and, no kidding.
And I was also bullied quite a bit in school, middle school all the way up. And confidence was non-existent. And I was looking for some way to release aggression, and I didn't want to hurt anybody else, though, because I knew what it was like to feel that pain on the other end, and I just couldn't bring myself to inflict it. That's when I found weight training. I was at a buddy's house. We played basketball together, and he had some weights. He had me jump in. Kind of wanted to pursue it a little further. I went to a gym that was about a half mile down the road. I actually had to walk because we didn't even have a car back then. And after that first workout, even though 135 pounds literally pinned me on the bench, being around the machines, challenging myself with the weights, seeing the heavier dumbbells and perceiving myself working my way up, something just lit. And I decided not only was I going to get bigger and stronger, I was going to use this as a way to positively help myself without negatively affecting anybody else. And I wanted this to be my career. And
brother, we must have been like separated at birth, because obviously you had a little rougher than I did, but we had a lot of the same stuff back there in our childhood. So crazy. I totally understand, and I'm totally digging your journey so far, brother. Keep it rolling.
Yeah. So when I was seeing the magazines like Men's Health, Muscle Fitness, Flex, Muscle Mag, all those ones that we all remember, of course, from back in the day.
Oh
I
yeah.
was like, man, I want to be in those someday. And it was seeing those magazines in the gym just motivated me. Especially when Ronnie Coleman first won the Olympia in '98, because he was a full-time cop, which was something I could relate to because I had cops in my family. It was like, man, if he could do it, I don't know how far I get. I probably can't get Ronnie Coleman, but I could probably get to some point where I'd be satisfied with myself. And the girlfriend I was seeing at the time thought I was a nut, and she actually broke up with me when she realized I was serious on my 18th birthday, no less. 18th birthday. And instead of just that dejected me, it just motivated me even more. And over the course of the next 10 years, I slowly but surely just kept working at it. I can remember breaking 200 pounds on the scale and thinking, oh my God, I've made it. I eventually got it.
That's awesome, brother. I love it.
And by 2009, I finally reached around 230 pounds. And I'd been lifting 10 years. And this was all completely drug-free. So steroids just wasn't around in West Virginia back then. There was no real way to get them. And by the time I got to that point, I was like, well, okay, I've done what I wanted to do. Around the beginning of 2009, I got laid off from my home improvement job because I was on a delivery and I got hurt. A refrigerator fell on my shoulder. So trying to keep myself motivated through my rehab to try to find another job, I started writing on a little blog on bodybuilding.com. And I don't know if you all remember Body Space or not. MySpace was the big thing back then. So bodybuilding.com had Body Space.
Yeah.
I started writing on this blog just to kind of keep myself motivated. Random stuff, just training stuff, quotes, whatever. Unbeknownst to me, it developed a following. And somebody was a customer service rep for bodybuilding.com and said, you need to write an article. Okay, either I'm going to know something else I'm not good at, or I'm going to get 15 minutes of fame. We'll see. I wrote an article, sent it in, and a guy that we all probably know now, Chris Gethin, was actually the editor at the time. Okay. When Chris Gethin read my article, he signed me, and he wanted me to become a regular contributor, which was insane to me.
Totally awesome, brother.
It was crazy. It was just like I thought it was just going to be a one-off deal. And he was like, dude, we'll give you store credit to buy your supplements. Shoot, yeah. I'll be all about that. So I started writing 2 a month. Then it was 3 a month. And then they did this little thing called the Site Awards. It wasn't that big of a deal, but back then to me, it was everything. And they actually had a Writer of the Year award, and they actually gave it to me.
Awesome.
As pumped as I was for it,
beautiful.
as pumped as I was for that, I posted on my Facebook page and just figured, okay, this is my real 15 minutes of fame, and then we'll just see where it goes. Somebody on the local news saw my Facebook post and had me be on the local news about me winning this award.
Oh man, this is great. It just keeps getting better. It's like meant to be.
It pretty much was. I swear I think it was just dumb luck on my part because how all these things fell together. But I'd sent the video to the CEO of the company and was like, man, I don't know if you noticed or not, but the local news actually did a thing on me winning this award. When I sent that to them about a month later, they decided to make me a paid writer. So now I'm making cash. And then just credit. Now I'm making money. And I was with them. I stayed with them all the way up until 2021. And because I tried to be as loyal as I could be. But after a while, my editor who replaced Chris had said, man, you could probably make a living from this. So we're going to actually take off the exclusivity and you need to try to become a freelancer. So once I did, I just kind of reached out to random sites. It would be through emails, through Twitter. I would post supplement reviews of some of the stuff I bought. That way supplement companies could be exposed to me. Lee LeBron assigned me to LeBron Nutrition. John Balick signed me to Iron Man Magazine. I got signed to Muscle and Strength, which was another website. And at this entire time, I'm also working as a day job as a child advocate. I'm interviewing kids that have been possibly abused, kind of like I was. And I did that for several years. And around 2015, I made so much money as a writer, not that I was rich, but my wife and I kind of figured out, wait a minute, we could probably buy a house. And when that concept, when that concept went in my head, I went all in. So we closed on the house in June 2015. I left my child advocacy job in October 2015, and I've been a full-time freelance writer ever since. So I'm going on 7 years now as full-time in the fitness industry in this role.
That's beautiful,
amazing,
brother. Yeah, absolutely beautiful, and it like fit together like it was supposed to. You know, I mean, that's a beautiful thing about your story. It's amazing.
It kind of reminds me of my story, because a lot of people don't know this about me, but I was an undergrad counselor at a university for 7 years before I got into bodybuilding full time. You know, what I did was basically get students into college, you know, teach them how to do financial aid, how to apply for loans and all this other stuff like that. And I did that for 6 years, but at the same time, I would like train and try to do bodybuilding shows and stuff like that. But I never took it serious until one day I decided to just quit that job and take it upon myself to like, hey, I could do bodybuilding full time. So I quit my real job and decided to do bodybuilding full time, and it paid off significantly for me. You know, so that's what your story kind of reminded me of.
That's beautiful, and I love the idea of when people say quitting my real job, because when you're working for money, you really don't want to that's a job. Now we do what we want to do, and that's living right there. You know,
it absolutely is. You know, they say if you do what you actually want to do, you're never really working.
Yes.
And that was kind of the mindset I wanted to go with. I wasn't trying to find a way to use the fitness industry to make money. I was always trying to find a way to make money so I could somehow stay relevant in the fitness industry. Yeah. Because that was like where the real passion was. And what I had found was if you focus so much on the dollar and nothing else, or if you place it so far ahead of the other priorities, you may get hot for a few months, then it's going to kind of fizzle out. It's when you focus more on doing everything for the right reasons, making the million differences instead of the $1 million, and trying to contribute to something bigger than yourself in the right way, that longevity stays there. And I think my story is kind of a testament of that.
Well, 100%. And I can talk what I hear too, brothers. I mean, you know, you love doing what you're doing, and the fact you're getting paid for it, just like, what? Okay, I'll take the money, but I'm doing this where I was getting paid or not anyway, you know? And so
pretty much.
when you love what you, absolutely. And when you love what you do, it's just, you're doing such a better job, so to speak. I hate to use the word job, but you're executing so much better because you're in love with what you're doing. And I mean, it's a awesome story, brother. I fucking love it. That's the way it's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah. You know, and that's what I try to do with my story. With my particular career, I don't try to make it as much about myself. Like when Men's Health actually asked me to do one on me, it was like, okay, that was kind of weird. That's actually one of the rare times I'm nervous about writing an article, because I'm not used to doing anything on myself. But when he had seen my transformation and he had heard that, you know, at one point I was almost homeless and now I'm a homeowner and I went from unemployed to self-employed, he thought the story needed to be told.
It did.
If I can use my story for that reason, then I'm all in on doing it. But again, like I said earlier, what I found is if I try to make it about me, I'm not going to get very far. So that's why I like having
unfortunately, bro, this show is about you, so you're going to have to make this show about you.
we'll make it work. We'll make it work.
No, but I love it. I love it, brother. You're more comfortable, you know, promoting other people than yourself. That's a beautiful thing, you know?
Yeah, but the talent you have to do what you've done, that's an unbelievable skill set that not a lot of people have. I mean, it's literally a handful of people could do what you've done. True. There's not that many people. And it's amazing that your passion for this and your general love for the athletes and the sports and all of it, it's just, it comes through in everything that you do. And it's really neat getting interviewed by you because you don't have to worry. You can just let everything go. You're going to make sure that the people that you're interviewing are always going to look in a good light. So it's amazing. And I just want to say thank you.
Man, that's an honor to hear. I'm not going to lie. That's pretty cool to hear you say that. And I've been told that's one of the things that's different about me as an interviewer as opposed to other people.
Massively.
I don't want it to be an interview. I want it to be just an informal conversation, just kind of like we're having here right now.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're going to get the real person, and that's when it makes my job even easier because you're going to give me the real message that I need to spread. If you're trying to put yourself in a position where you're just strictly professional and you're delivering this one thing to promote this one product or whatever, I can piece it together, but at the same time, the reader's probably not going to get that much out of it. When I took the readers through Nick's journey through his lat repair, after his surgery through Barbend, which is another site I write for, barbend.com. To go through that whole process, I was actually able to take the reader, I feel, to where almost they were spotting Nick in a sense, and just watching what he's doing from a fly on the wall perspective.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
That's always been the way I've wanted to do it. And I got to get one with you in at some point soon, okay? Because since you're doing the Arnold Classic, I would love to be able to get one with you as well. Because I know you got a lot of fans that love seeing stuff about your training. But I want to give the reader a sense of being like, okay, I'm in the gym with Nick, or I'm in the gym with Akeem. And I want to be able to give the reader something that they can tangibly take with them the next time they work out. You know, okay, what was the origin point of that rep? Okay, what is it that he tried to do? He tried to drive the elbow down. He didn't try to pull the lat. Those kind of little details can make all the difference. And I found if I focus on that, that is what will keep the reader coming back. That's what will keep the brands going, and that's what will eventually keep me going. Yeah.
Because they're actually learning something from what you, not just basically saying he did that movement, he did a lat pull down. You actually going in step by step and in details about how he did it, you know, how his form was and everything like that. And that's what people want to know, and that's how you learn, you know?
Right. With most of you guys, and speaking to both, actually all three of you, you know, when you see pictures of you all on the internet, you look like walking, talking superheroes. And there's times it could probably be hard for a beginner to connect with you because, okay, well, they're there and I'm here. Well, I can help the reader kind of understand that, well, if you want to get to where you want to feel like a superhero, you want to train like the superheroes train, here's how you could do it. And they're willing to help you because I'm using your words whenever you're doing through these things. Nick saw this with the Light article and also with the Men's Health interview. You know, I want to be to the point that when the fans actually meet you, they can kind of connect with you. They almost feel like they already know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's what's so special about the way you do it, because it does. You do that, and you accomplish that, and it's neat. And when the fans come up to us or contact us after reading the stuff, it's really kind of neat the way they ask questions, because they have a different insight into it, and I can explain it a little further when people like ask instead of just being so kind of vague in general.
Yeah. And something else I try to do is try to make sure I put the strength sports in as positive of a light as possible. Because how many channels do we all know? How many outlets do we all know that thrive on the drama and the controversies and that kind of stuff? And again, you're going to probably get hot for a little while. You might profit from it initially, but I've been in my position for over a decade, and it's because, and I genuinely feel this, I try to put the sport, the athlete, and the reader in as positive of a light as possible. I want the brand to thrive so they'll come back to it. If the athlete is being featured, I want them to, want to come back and trust me again for the next one. It's rare for me to actually interview someone once. Normally, if I've done it once, I'll come back to them and did it for another platform or something later on because they trust me. And that's what I found has kept me in the game as long as it has. I'm not as famous as Nick. I'm not as famous as Akeem. I'm nowhere near John's level, but I'm here. And the fact that I've stayed here means I'm doing something right.
Well, bro, let me speak up, and I'll tell you, when somebody has existed in the fitness industry, whatever platform, because the fitness industry is known to spit you out is real quick. I mean, we see people come in and they're gone as fast as they came in. So when you can establish a position in any position or multiple positions for over a decade, you've got the formula figured out, and you've done that. You know, because how many we see athletes who we see all types of people in they're flash in the pan. They come in hot, and as fast as they came in, they disappear like a fart in the wind, you know. But, you know, once you've done your time and you've started stacking up decades of being relative, and you've got your first decade under your belt, that's killer. That's a huge, you know, it really demonstrates what you're saying, you know, about doing it the right way.
Yeah. I'm starting my 14th year now as a writer at this level, whatever that level is. And I've found that I've had to evolve over time. And it used to be about what my knowledge was, or, you know, just, you know, the Summit Company of the Month, or, you know, doing features on Body Space members. And then it was pro bodybuilders and competitors. And then it was contest coverage. And then when I joined Barbend, I shifted to StrongMan, powerlifting, CrossFit. And because that's the thing, like, there's guys who stay in one lane and they thrive, obviously, and God bless them. But someone in my position, I've had to maintain all the fields. You know, I've got to keep up with all the strongman coverage, all the powerlifting coverage. Even I just did an article recently on a fitness race called High Rocks. And I had to study up on that real quick. And it looks like I'm going to be doing more stuff with them down the road. And then all these athletes that want to jump from one sport to another, I have to make sure I have enough knowledge and awareness that I can keep in the conversation so I can include the reader in the conversation. I think that evolution has helped me as well.
Yeah. Well, you said it, 14 years you've been getting it. So let me ask you a couple of interesting questions. And obviously, you know, this is stuff that you publish, so it's really just kind of going back through your memory banks. When I say, what was the craziest interview? Like, tell us about, like, when I say it can be crazy in any regard, I mean, because goodness knows we have some pretty crazy characters in the industry and all these different sports and everything else.
Yeah, it was in 2011, I got to interview Branch Warren right after he won the Arnold Classic. I mean, he left the stage and he's coming through all these people and he's getting ready to go to a couple of media outlets backstage, and I happened to be standing there, and there was a friend of mine who wanted to take a photo of us. So he snapped a quick photo, and I just kind of asked him 2 or 3 questions on the spot for bodybuilding.com. And he's standing there answering them, and if you guys have ever heard Branch speak, you know he's got that deep, intense bass in his voice. And there's all these people trying to tug at him, and he just kind of looks at him for real quick and goes, "Back the fuck up." And they're all like, "Oh, shit." And he looks at me like Clark Kent mode. He goes, "I'm sorry, you were saying?" And it's like, what's next for you, Branch? The Olympia. Okay, man, thanks for your time. And he's like, "Appreciate it." And off he walks to the next one. It was like 2 or 3 questions.
Like literally just pow, get away from me, and then back to you like nothing happened, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome.
I'm not sure if he even remembers that or not, but it was a pretty unique moment for me because I was just standing there and I never met him before. And I'm literally just like, "Hey, Branch, congratulations." And my photographer buddy's like, "Guys, this way." We take the picture, and I just took the moment, asked a couple questions, and I guess he thought that was his first interview. And it was an insane experience seeing him get that intense that quick, even though he was so carb depleted and had literally just won probably $100,000. I mean, Akeem's been there. When you just want a show and you've just had the adoration of the fans, it's like, okay, I need food.
Yeah.
You're not one to take part in too much media
stuff. Exactly. So, that's the last thing you want to do is do interviews and stuff like that.
Exactly. And the funniest part about that wasn't even that day. It was actually earlier in the day because I went to go take a nap before that contest. And I got woke up by loud banging on the door. And eventually the door got kicked in. And it was actually a couple police officers.
Oh, shit.
I'm in the midst of a nap. And the manager had me listed in another room.
Oh.
So when I'm going into my room to take a nap, the manager had thought I squatted the room. So he called the cops.
Oh, shit.
So we're going through all of this grief to get all this squared away. I showed him the room key. I showed him the confirmation. I showed him everything. And then the cop was like, "This is insane. I'm so sorry you're having to deal with this." And he gave me his card and was like, "If you have any more problems, let me know. Here's my number, da-da-da-da-da." So fast forward to after that contest, I have to get back home. So in the middle of the night, I'm getting ready to leave. I'm walking back to my car, and I come and I see another police officer, or what I thought was another police officer. So I can get directions to get to Route 33 so I could get back home. Because I live in West Virginia. Columbus is a 4-hour drive. I go up to this police officer to see if I can get directions. It's the same cop.
Oh.
He's like, again? And I'm like, well, I'm not going back to the hotel. I'm trying to actually leave town. He's like, hit your hazards, follow me. So I put on my hazards. He hits his sirens. We go through red lights. We go through all types of intersections. He gets me to 33, and he pulls off, turns off his lights. I turn off my hazards. He just beeps his horn and waves, and I'm off. That was the most cool, man. That was probably the most unique day I've ever had covering any of it.
How did the stars just aligned for you to find that guy again, and he was ready to take care of you because of the trouble you had earlier in the day? That's a cool story, brother.
Yeah.
I have the dumbest luck, but it works in my favor almost every single time.
Hey, that one turned out good, man.
Yeah,
you know, it could have went sideways real fast. You know.
I don't know if I'd be able to top any more stories than that one, but I think that one was pretty good enough to have the cops called on me, an impromptu interview with Branch Warren, and then be escorted by the cops out of town.
It's an exciting day.
It was an exciting day.
Well,
I had to find a Wendy's to sit and chill for a minute.
There you go. I love it. So let's try this one, and you can't use Nick as your answer. Just to preface the question. Who's your favorite interview?
Ronnie Coleman. Since Nick is not included, I'll say Ronnie Coleman.
Oh yeah. Tell us why.
He was the guy that I saw on the cover of Muscle and Fitness when I decided I wanted to get in this industry. He had just won the Olympia for the first time. And he was a full-time cop. He was big. He was jacked. And I kind of did a small podcast on my own in 2010. And I knew somebody that knew him. I took a shot in the dark and was like, is there any chance Ronnie be willing to do an interview? Well, I'll ask him. Unbeknownst to me, he agreed. Because he had just left Muscle and Fitness. Or Flex. He had just left Flex. And he had not yet signed on Muscular Development. So I caught him when he didn't have exclusivity. First interview goes to happen. He stands me up. He completely forgot and didn't write down the time or anything. So I emailed him, hey, Ronnie, things happen. I understand. Sorry that this didn't work out. If we could try it again, let me know. Oh, man, I'm so sorry. Give me another week. Let's do it again. I'll give you a whole hour. Okay, great. We come back the next week, and he actually gives us a full 60-minute interview. We talked his career. We talked college. We talked training. We talked everything. And when that was all said and done, I thanked him in the email, and he was like, here's my number. You took such good care of me for that interview. If you ever need anything else again, let me know. So, holy crap. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Fast forward 6 months later, he is leaving BSN, and he's about to start Ronnie Coleman's Signature Series. And he actually used me with bodybuilding.com to help make the announcement.
Oh, right on.
And for him to put me in that position that he trusted me enough to take that kind of care of him, that article made headlines. It was on Pro Bodybuilding Weekly. Dan Solomon talked about it. Ronnie shared it on all of his social media. And that connected me to so many other bodybuilders, because if the 8-time Mr. Olympia is willing to work with me, then why couldn't anybody else? And he gave me a sense of credibility at that point that I'm still able to carry to this day. I've probably interviewed him 5 or 6 times over the years about various things, and he is as genuine as it comes.
Yeah. Oh, man, I tell you, he's definitely, how can you not like him? I mean, he's just so down to earth, and he's just unique, I mean, it's like he's a guy that to me doesn't strike. He's not trying to be anybody but himself,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's definitely no being fake with him. He only knows one way. And I hate that he's went through everything he's went through, but the last time I talked to him, he appears to be on the other side of it. He's getting better. He's back up to 285 in weight. He's feeling more confident in the gym. And to hear that, yeah, buddy, lightweight baby.
I love it.
Again, I love it.
The thing about his story too is that, goodness, he went through obviously, being the most dominant figure that the pro bodybuilder ever seen, and obviously going through all his troubles. But even through all the trouble, he was still training just simply because he loved it. That was always his answer. Why are you doing it? Because I love it. That's the best. I mean, there's a guy who's just doing what he loves, doing it when he's the best in the world. He's doing it when he's in a hospital bed. He's doing it when he's recovering from that. That's to me, that's inspiration. Doing it every corner of your life.
Oh, absolutely. No prescription medication is going to replace his daily dose of iron. And to be able to get in the gym at 2 or 3 in the morning to do whatever it is he's needing to do that day. I'm sure if you asked him what day of the week it is, he would say chest day, arm day, shoulder day. It wouldn't be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. He's what you've seen in the magazines and on YouTube is what you get when you see him in real life. There is no alternate personality with him.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I mean, every time I've seen an interview or seen him in person, it's the same. You're not getting two variants of him.
Yeah,
right.
Very.
I
cool.
actually have a funny Ronnie. I actually have a funny Ronnie story too, if you're interested.
Yeah, hell yes. Let's hear it.
So last year he got the Arnold Classic Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. On the Friday before that, he was scheduled to take part in a sit-down Friday night with the champion get-together. It was him, Victor Martinez, Cedric McMillan, Bob Chicarolo was the MC, and Arnold. And you remember when Ronnie first went to take to the stage, I don't know if you saw it or not, he actually fell.
Oh, I saw that, but I didn't see him fall, but I saw the interview. I mean, it was so touching.
You saw the interview. Okay. So, when he looked down into his pocket occasionally in between when people were answering questions?
Yeah.
He was answering my text when I asked him if he was okay.
No shit.
Oh, I was in the crowd,
insane.
and I'm like, dude,
that's cool.
I hope you're okay after that fall. And he replied back to me, yeah, I did that on purpose, LOL. And I was like, that's awesome. So I actually told that story to one of the Arnold people the next day, and they didn't believe me. So I had to literally pull out my phone and show him the text and the timestamp and everything. He was like, that was literally you he was texting. Yeah, it was me he was texting. And before the Arnold Classic started, I'm talking to that guy again. Ronnie comes up, pats me on the shoulder. What's going on, man? How you doing, brother? You feeling better? He's like, yeah, I'm feeling okay. I'm feeling good. I told you I did that on purpose. And he goes down and takes a seat. It was awesome.
When he was taking that award, I mean, it was all he could do. He was just trying to gather himself enough to basically thank his mom. And he was like, he was so deeply touched. That was, for me, that was like, oh my God. I mean, this is more important to him than anything else he's done. He could barely talk. It was so special.
Yeah, it's genuine.
Yeah. I never got to see him win the Olympics in person, but I got to see him get inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2016. And I saw that, and I've seen him honored in a few different ways over the years since. And that was probably the most emotional I'd ever seen him, was that particular moment. And I'm not going to say we're absolute best friends because we don't talk that often, but to have known him and talked to him as many times as I have, it was actually a little emotional for me because I understand that my mom died 7 years ago.
Oh, sorry.
And for him to not have her anymore, and to be able to do that tribute, I would have probably done the same thing.
I mean, it was I'm a big mama's boy. So when he finally could speak and he was talking to his mom, it started making me cry. I was actually quite lucky. I was in my living room, watching it on YouTube. I mean, it was touching, man. It was really touching.
There was probably not a dry eye in the house. And I mean, I looked around me because I was in the press pit. And even though the people in the media were getting kind of emotional about it. So,
oh man, I mean, it took him, what do you think? Probably 60, 90 seconds to calm himself. Every time he tried to talk, he couldn't do it again. It was, I mean, truly he was touched. That was an amazing moment. you know?
Yeah, it was. It was probably the highlight of that year for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's really cool that you got, I mean, clearly that's going back to what we were talking about earlier, about how you do things the way you do them. You're getting people like Ronnie Coleman who embrace you in a way because you do such a great job. You do your job so well. And that's why you're here with us, brother, because we were excited to get a chance to talk to you because you're one of the best at what you do. So that's all this Ronnie Coleman stuff just demonstrates exactly, you know, what you were talking about earlier. And you are one of the greats in the industry, right? And so, brother, keep up the good work. That's really, really cool shit.
It's you know, when I first started doing all this, I wanted to be a bodybuilder, but I figured out earlier on I wanted to go out of the genetics. I also realized I was going to stop growing at 5'9", so I wasn't going to be a strongman like Nick either. I did a couple of local powerlifting meets, but it wasn't nothing too serious. But by that point, I figured out my talent was writing, and it was like, okay, I'm going to kind of stay in this lane and just see what happens with it, because I can always revisit powerlifting later on. And
you know who Mariusz Pudzianowski is?
Oh yeah, 5-time world's strongest man. Dude's a beast.
He's only 5'10". You know that, right?
Yeah, but at the time,
he's a little taller than that. He was a little taller than me.
No, he's 5'10".
Yeah, he's
listed as 5'10".
No, he's not.
He's actually about 6 foot. He's 6 foot.
He's just a skosh over 6 because I mean, that was the guy right there. If he hadn't come along, I wouldn't have had a goddamn pro strongman career, because all of a sudden they started making, that's kind of the athletic era, which is how me being about 6 feet as well actually had an era to compete in, you know, because shortly after that, here comes the Brian Shaws and the Thors of the world. And thank God I was just lucky to get out of there in time, because I wouldn't have had much of a career with those guys running around.
It's you see bodybuilders in person, and again, don't take this as an offense or anything, but you see bodybuilders in person, and it's like, man, they're big. And then you see them next to strongmen, or at least the ones now.
I think he froze too.
He did. Now I'm taking it personal now.
Well, it's great. It's crazy having done I've competed in the Arnold twice, and it's pretty crazy when they came off the pose down from the stage, and then all the strongmen are in the back of the Arnold. Yeah. When all the bodybuilders come in, and just the differences, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, very different sports, very different people for sure. You know,
but you know damn well any of us are going to be able to eat that way. It's just not going to happen.
One thing I would say is when I did the Arnold Classic China, we had a open buffet at the hotel, and you strongman. I can't remember the guy's name. I think he was Russian. He literally got the chefs pissed off because he was eating too much.
Well, you know, I played at both sides of the fence. You know, I was strongman and bodybuilding, and when you're dealing with, I mean, you're basically dieting yourself into a fucking full blown, you know, eating disorder. So you're not you're eating because you can. It has nothing to do with other than, okay, yes, it tastes good, and yes, you haven't had this in a long time. You feel like you're going to pop, and you don't know why you keep stuffing what you're stuffing in your face, but you just do it. There's some signal in your brain that says keep going.
Nick, mind you, this is after the show when bodybuilders finish competing. You know, we eat anything in the house.
Right.
And right after the show, we go all out. And we could not keep up with the strongman. I'm serious.
That was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could eat some food.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's just especially just look at the size of some of the top guys now. I mean, 450 pounds. I mean, that's think about how many, you know, really, really big steaks it's going to take to satisfy all that tissue. You know?
Oh, it's nuts.
Yeah.
You'll go out to dinner with them. Like if I go out with Brian or Eddie or Robert, for that matter, I mean, I'll get a steak I'll get, you know, a huge steak, and they'll get 2. And 2 potatoes.
Remember on your show, you guys were having a steak eating contest, and correct if I'm wrong, the loser had to buy the steaks, and I think that was you, wasn't it?
Yeah, yes, I ended up having to buy the steaks. Yes, yeah.
He was like, God damn it, this is going to be a big bill because you guys each ordered like 3 humongous steaks.
Yeah, it was like $480 or something like that by the time it was all said and done. And explaining that to Callie was not a lot of fun.
I imagine not, but again, I think that kind of speaks to the level of dedication and extreme it takes for both of those sports.
Yes.
Strongmen are pretty much having to force feed themselves. Bodybuilders are having to thrive on such low calorie restrictions. It's polar ends of the extremes, but at the same time, they're extremes, and to have to take what they do to that level to honor that kind of a commitment, it's insane. There's a reason why they're world-class athletes.
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely. It's nuts because you got some of the strongmen that will wake up once, sometimes twice in the middle of the night, and drink a protein shake just to get more calories in.
Yeah,
while they're sleeping because they want to eat like every 3 hours. So it's pretty nuts.
So, brother,
I think after events like.
Oh, go ahead, brother. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Forgive me.
Okay. I was just going to say, I think personally, after all the competitions are over for strongmen, I think there needs to be a bonus eating contest, just kind of like as an exhibition, like an extra $5,000 pot, just to see who can eat the most.
And people would want to see that too, wouldn't they?
Absolutely. I would.
Well, I'm out of that one. I'll be out of that one because I get, oh my God, when Brian and I did his YouTube video where we went to the casinos to eat here, and so we ate at at 3 different buffets in one day, and ate till we're full in each one. He just he found a whole nother gear when we got to Caesar's buffet that I didn't think was possible because I had about 4 plates of food and I think he had about 8.
Oh,
I mean, it was. It's like it's all you do. It's all you.
I love it. Keep in mind that's not once a day. That's multiple times in the day.
Yeah, I mean, we hit buffets 3 times that day.
Yeah,
like all you can eat 3 times that day, and I think he had a snack somewhere in between actually. So I didn't. He did.
So, brother, you told us about some really cool stuff with the interviews. Obviously, you gave us your favorite. Tell us what was the most difficult in terms of, was it the person itself? Was it the scheduling? Tell us about the most difficult interview you ever did. And you can't use Nick as your answer for this one either.
Oh, well, Nick.
I'm taking you out of the cake for any of them. So just so you know.
I appreciate that.
Well, Nick wouldn't be my answer for most difficult anyway.
I think we all knew that, but it was still fun to say you can't pick him.
Yeah. The ones that are probably the most challenging, unfortunately, it's not going to be nothing controversial, but for Muscle and Fitness, I do a column called Fit to Serve, and it features members of the United States military. And I will feature these people. Some of them are IFBB pros, some of them aren't, but they all have stories. And unfortunately, the hardest part of that job is I have to have them tell what it is that they've went through, because you got to give them the valley if you want them to reach the peak.
Yeah.
And some of these people have been wounded. Some of them have seen their comrades be killed. Some of them have had to tell their family members or the deceased family members that they passed. Wow. And those are always the toughest ones, because not as much about for me, because I've obviously dealt with my share of trauma, both personally and professionally, but I have to have that person deal with secondary trauma by reliving the initial trauma. Mm-hmm. And most of them have been pretty good that they can handle it. And, they're comfortable enough telling the story that they can, but you're still going to put them in that position, and you'd much rather not. There was a gentleman I just did one on recently. His name was Rob Jones. and he was an IED specialist. And in 2010, unfortunately, he found one the hard way, and he lost both of his legs. And he was actually talking about the hardest part was facing his mother because he had been wounded. It was like, man, this one sucks. And I've also done a few features because of my connection with childhood domestic violence and my previous experience in child abuse. If there's been athletes or people that have dealt with that, they trust me to tell them the story. And again, it's going through that whole process of having them talk about it and process it. And it's never easy. It's always gut wrenching to get them to do that. But I always try to remember the end goal is that, I'm educating a reader. That reader may get some knowledge from this that they may never have.
Yeah.
And they may be able to use that at some point to save a kid's life. It's pretty much the thing I do when I tell my survivor story, which I've done since I was 14 years old. Somebody in this room is going to benefit from this, so it's worth going through it again. So those are definitely the toughest ones, to say the least.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's real issues there. Where it's not, it's not about dropping a 500-pound bench press on your chest. I mean, we're talking some real issues there.
Yeah. I've actually never really had any that were too controversial, or nobody really gave me a hard time, with any of the interviews I've done so far. It's always been the things kind of like that where, we have to get into sensitive topics that I'd probably rather not get into with these people, but it's what the job calls for.
Yeah.
So, and if I'm going to take all the benefits of the job, I got to deal with all the pressures of the job. And what is that? What is that phrase? No pressure, no diamonds.
Yeah.
All these people with diamonds, it's because they've had to deal with the pressure.
Yep.
That's pretty good. I like that one. I'm going to keep that one.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that.
Oh, yeah.
That's so you think, life gets hot. The pressure's on. It's like, okay, the pressure's on. You got to remember that the pressure is what molds your character. And then once the pressure's gone for a diamond, then hit it with heat. So the pressure's gone. Now here comes the heat. Here it comes again. But it's those little sayings are really helpful because a diamond has to go through all that to become a diamond.
Yeah. I've got 3 of them that I use. Like, one of them, of course, no pressure, no diamonds. The second one I always use is high tide raises all ships. I heard that from my dad because he was in the Navy during Vietnam.
What was it again?
High tide raises all ships.
Oh, yeah.
It's an old Navy phrase. And pretty much it's, don't focus so much on the negativity, the drama, the low points. Focus on bringing everybody else up. If you're bringing yourself up, you're bringing everybody else up with you. Obviously, everybody in this conversation knows about that. And then the third one is something I personally came up with myself, but it's actually been on a couple of posters over the years. No goal is unreachable if your will is unbreakable.
Here we go.
I like that.
For a scrawny teenager to have been where I've been and had to deal with what I had to deal with to eventually climb to the position I'm in, whatever it is, that took some serious will. For everybody on this chat right now to have achieved world-class status like we have, it takes some will. There has to be some want to there on the days you just don't want to. That motivation is fleeting. And as long as you maintain that willpower and you're not willing to break, then I don't think there's any limit of what you can do.
That's it. It's all the stuff that we didn't know why it was happening to us that were the best things that ever happened to us, because that's what prompted us to become what we became,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I would have never imagined that at some point when I was at my weakest, most vulnerable moment at 10 years old and my dad is holding me at gunpoint, that 4 years later I would have started telling that story to total strangers. And yet 25 years later, after that, I'm still telling that story because it's taken that information and they're processing it and they're applying it to their patients to discover that they're being abused and they learn what to do to help them. So I would have never imagined that, but taking that negative and turning it into a positive like that.
Oh, brother. I mean, you're talking about very few people have been held at gunpoint, period. Now to be held at gunpoint by your father, I mean, that's a very small school of people that you exist in, and then to take that and do something great with it, that's what makes a great person. So, brother, my hat's off to you. So good shit.
It's it's not something I would ever actually reward my father for, but we did come to terms on it much later on because he realized he was drunk on moonshine. He had found out he was getting a divorce. He snapped. But it was probably one of the best things that happened to me because, number one, I was able to help people with it. And number two, unfortunately, I'm using his example in the opposite way. As a father myself to a 9-year-old and a stepfather to an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want my son to be able to tell a story like that about me, like I have about him.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's things like that. It's just a matter of you're not going to be able to stop a lot of things that happen to you. It's what you do with it that determines the ultimate outcome of it. Whether it's 100%. An injury, whether it's an injury, trauma, personal setback, whatever. How you rebound from it is the difference maker. And
I mean, that's totally true, brother. That's so true. I mean, it's the way that a person deals with their problems that defines their character, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's been like that throughout my entire life. It's, you know, whether it was my dad, the bullying in school. At one point I was homeless and having to live out my 1989 Grand Marquis. And then less than a decade after that, I'm closing on my house. I'm a full-time self-employed person and I'm doing things like this now. It's you could do a lot with a little, to say the least.
And that's the truth.
And it's amazing all the things you went through and you took it and you built on a positive thing. So just because you've had a rough go at it doesn't mean it's okay to be a dirtbag. It means it means stand up, make a plan and execute the plan and be a good person, because even though those things happen to you, you can still achieve a lot in life and be a good person. You don't have to be like that other person. And that's what people need to understand is I'm never going to be my stepdad. I have no desire to be anything like my stepdad whatsoever. And I revel in that. I enjoy that. Same thing. My kids will never grow up the way I grew up. Never.
Yeah.
But I love the heck out of them.
Sometimes our parents, the best lessons they teach us, I got, you know, my father's a king of that too. The best lessons he ever taught me was what not to do.
Exactly.
You know, it makes it real simple when you go, okay, you know, with my mom, I'm trying to emulate. With my dad, I'm trying not to emulate.
And you know? People need to know, though, when bad things happen, you can still do good things. And you can still achieve whatever it is you want to achieve. You just got to go start doing it.
Yeah, that was the hardest thing for me to come to grips with when I first started. What I was saying was, you know, the hardest part for most of these people that deal with these situations is starting out, because I know with me, number one, did I deserve it? Because if I was the kind of kid that even my father would hold a gunpoint, you know, what do I really deserve in life? Wrong belief, but it was what I believed back then. And then number two, it's so far ahead and I'm only here today. What can I do? So the two things that was the most challenging for me was, number one, reminding myself that I can do it and I deserve to do it. And then number two, making the most of the day that was in front of me. Literally one day at a time. That sounds corny as hell, but it's the absolute truth. And every athlete, every entrepreneur, every successful person in every aspect of life will tell you the biggest key is taking advantage of the day that is ahead of you and making the most of it. Executing step by step, whatever it may be. The next workout, the next meal, the next business meeting, the next opportunity, the next social media connection. All those things, they're tiny little details, but when you pile them up, that compound effect, it pays off. When you're in that grind, though, it's hard to see that, because you see 5 years from now, 10 years from now, oh, that's forever. That time's going to pass anyway. So make the most of the time you have now.
Well, check this out. I mean, obviously you're talking some really cool stuff here, which kind of like entered into the next question that I have for you. So basically, with all the experience you've had in life and you know, working with people that have done great things, and what would be, you know, if you had to like give a piece of advice just a good solid piece of advice to other people, what would it be?
Start your day by reminding yourself that you deserve your success, and then promise yourself that you're going to give all you got to go get it.
That's awesome.
That's about the
awesome.
That's about the foundation of it.
Yeah. Isn't that the truth?
I train in a barn out by my house. I'm sure Nick has seen pictures of it on Instagram.
Oh yes.
And even whether it's 30 degrees or 80 degrees outside, that's where I go, because the nearest gym is over 30 minutes from my house. And before every workout, before everything I do in the day, I have to tell myself, I'm blessed to be in this position. I'm obviously here because I deserve it, but now I've got a responsibility to make the most of it.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to see what I'm doing in this barn right now, but I'm going to know the results whether I did it or not. So I got to go all in. And there's other people that are depending on it. My wife depends on it. My son depends on it. The people that are going to be reading my content in the fitness industry deserve it. I've got to give whatever it is I got that day. I've got to give all of it. And next thing you know, days become weeks, weeks become months, months become 13, 14 years.
Here we go. I got to tell you, that little spiel right there you just gave really just gave me some goose pimples, because I've been dealing with Corona for the last, week and change, and of course, just doing, staying quarantined, doing what I'm supposed to do. But it just kind of chips away at the thing that, it kind of makes you as you're tired, you're not feeling well. So hearing you just say that really just kind of lit a fire under my butt. It's like, you know what? It's a week. Pull up your pants, dude. I'm talking to myself, I'm going to be fine here,
Oh, there are times I audibly talk to myself, whether it's in the car, in my barn, wherever it is. I have to hear the voice. Just having the thought isn't enough.
Yeah.
And
do you cuss at yourself? Like, I cuss at myself a lot. Do you cuss at yourself too?
All the damn time.
Okay, thank God I'm not alone, because I was calling myself a pussy all the time. I'm like, Jesus, I hope to God I'm not the only one that curses himself out when no one's listening.
Oh no. Oh no, if I have Vista rep, or if I backed off on something and I knew I had a few more in me, you piece of shit. Get the fuck out. All the time. All the time. my heart is
correct. Brother. That's beautiful.
Sometimes probably more than I should be.
Oh, but I love it.
But at the end of the day, sometimes you just need that, and it's okay to use that as fuel. If it's whether somebody's actually said to you or you're saying it to yourself, if the ends justify the means, do it. So
that's it.
I'll call myself a son of a bitch if it means I'm going to get 4 or 5 on the bench that day.
There we go. I love it. Okay, brother. So check this out. We give you a time machine. You can get in the time machine as you are today, and you can program in the date to go back in your life to see yourself and give yourself a piece of advice. How far back do you go, and what do you tell yourself?
March 9th, 1999, I'm 17 years old, and I walk into the health club for my very first workout. And there are still some butterflies in my stomach. There are still some doubts in my head. I'm going to pat my hand on that kid's shoulder, and I'm going to be like, give this all you fucking got, because it will pay off in the end.
What was the date again? You had that cold. What was the date?
March 9th, 1999. I actually consider that my second birthday, because it meant that much to me. I'm walking to Greenbrier Health Club. It is 6 inches of snow that afternoon. I just got back from school, and I knew I was going to the gym for this workout, and I was a nervous wreck because, again, I'm 125 pounds soaking wet. I'm probably going to be in the gym with what I thought was a bunch of big dudes. It turned out not really the case. And these weights were intimidating, and it was like I had seen the movie Body of Work by Bill Phillips, and I had seen those muscle and fitnesses sitting on that table, and it was just something that lit at me. It was like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I don't know how, I don't know what, but I'm going to be in this business. I'm going to do something great. But again, from all that crap I went through as a kid, there was still that initial doubt. Do you really think you fucking deserve this? Do you really think you're going to be able to get this? As many other things as you try to fail at, I would have loved to be able to tell that kid, give it hell. because it will pay off in the
brother.
end.
Powerful. I mean, you knew exactly the time, the date. I mean, that was like there was no pondering that thought. You had that. You knew exactly where you were going to go.
There's a country song by Brad Paisley called "Letter to Me" when he writes a letter to himself back as a kid, and that's kind of what initially put that thought in my head when I've heard that song. So I've actually thought that topic in my head a few times. That's why I was able to come up with that answer so quick.
Very cool, man. Yeah, that was beautiful, dude. I mean, you normally that question you're going to have a little pause. I mean, hell, you jumped on that date like, I mean, you were prepared for that question. That was great. That was powerful stuff, brother. Really, really cool, man.
I seriously celebrate that day like it's a birthday because it was at that particular day I knew what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know how, what, whatever, like I said, but I recognize that day just as I do June 29th, 1981, my actual birthday. I celebrate it every year. I'll go for a workout. I'll go for one hell of a cheat meal. I'll pat myself on the back for that one particular day. And it's like, okay, now what am I going to do next? Because I'm in this now. So, I give myself that one little good job. All right, motherfucker, it's time to get back to work.
Nice.
That's it. Well, brother, we've had you here for an hour, but before we let you go, I got one more question because everything you're giving us some really, really cool stuff here. Our listeners are going to have a lot of takeaways, and really that's what this is all about. So your story is amazing. You've done a lot of cool things. What is it? When you're physically gone, what is it that you want to be remembered for? What are you leaving behind? What's the legacy of Roger Lockridge?
I cared more about what I could do for others than what I did for myself.
Yeah.
This place is better with me here than it was when I wasn't.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's awesome.
When you're 10 years old,
just knew what he was going to say. I mean, this is beautiful stuff, brother. You know,
when you're 10 years old and there's a chance that you're not going to live to see 11, or when you're 13, there's a chance you're not going to see 14, or when you're 25 and there's a chance you're not going to see 26. I've had 3 brushes with death, and it gives you perspective, and
clearly
it reminds you that there's a chance you're not going to be here. I'm not CT Fletcher. I haven't flatlined like he has, so I'm not going to put myself in that league. But, when you come that close, you do start thinking about these kind of things. And my son, his name is Roger Jr. He's going to literally carry my name after I'm gone. I want him to be able to carry a name that he can take to another height. I want him to do far more than what I've done, but at the same time, I want to make sure he has a hell of a mountain to climb. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that would pretty much be it.
I mean, that was pretty powerful, brother. I mean, again, you knew exactly. I mean, it's powerful stuff. You knew exactly the fact that your existence was basically here for a reason, and that was beautiful, brother. Really cool stuff. I
appreciate that. I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all and doing this. This is crazy for me to be in this kind of company. Be a kid that didn't have any company at all, and I'm so grateful for all these positions I get to be in and all these things I get to do. And I try to make the most out of all of them. And I hope that's what everybody listening to this can do as well. Whether it's anything that you all shared or anything they got from me. This Wedges of Iron podcast can make a difference in a lot of lives. So
yeah,
if I have the ability to be on this kind of a platform, then I got to make the most of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seriously,
before we wrap up, Nick, Ock, do you guys have anything else for Roger before we wrap this baby up?
No, man, it's just been a pleasure, and you have a beautiful mind. You're an amazing writer, and just continue on that journey. You have a lot more amazing things to give to the world, and
you do.
Yeah, and your fans and all the media outlet that you provided your service to.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hakeem, I know you're going to be in Columbus because you're competing at the Arnold. Or John, are you and Nick going to be in Columbus as well?
I won't. At this point, I don't know for sure. That's a good question. Possibly. But if we do, we'll definitely connect. If I'm over there, we'll connect for sure, bro. That'd be great.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
I won't be in Columbus this year. But I'll be at World's Strongest Man. Like, I'll be going this year to watch this year up in Sacramento. So if you're there, I'll get to see you there.
I hope to be there. That's the plan. What about Masters World's Strongest Man? Are you going to be on that?
I'm going to do that. Yes, I'll be competing in that this year.
Oh, well.
There we go, baby.
Yes.
I'm coming back. Got a powerlifting meet in May. There's going to be a Masters StrongMan contest in July in Indiana that I'm going to do, and then I'll do OSG. I'll do Masters again.
That's awesome. I told Nick when I did my interview with him for Men's Health a little while back, he was the 20th or 21st world champion that I got to interview that year in 2021. Cool. So to be able to have that many different world champions on so many different outlets or strength sports, and to be able to cover them all, man, that's a wealth of knowledge I got to absorb. So, Nick, again, thank you for that opportunity as well. Oh,
my pleasure. I mean, thank you for everything that you do and the things that you've done. I mean, without you, none of this is possible.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, brother. I mean, honestly, I feel like I've got some takeaways from the show myself, so obviously we're doing this for really trying to, for the listeners, and we're trying to make the listeners, motivated and the best version of themselves. But I got to tell you, you were really saying some cool stuff here, brother. I'm inspired. So I would personally want to thank you. Thank you for the things you said. And we all appreciate you being on the show today. It's an honor for me. I don't know if I call myself a legend of iron or not, but to be on the Legend of Irons podcast as a fan of all three of you, it's a big deal. So thank you for having me.
You're welcome, man. Oh, absolutely.
Well, there you have it, everyone. We are here to inspire you. We're here to motivate you and help you become the best version of yourself. There is another edition of Legends of Iron. We will see you next time.
Legends of Iron is brought to you by Muscleman, the creator of Nitro Test. Nitro Test is hands down the most fucking kick-ass pre-workout on the market. If you fucking want some, come fucking get some. Can you handle it?